I'm Mark Campbell. I'm a postdoc researcher at the University of Regina. My talk is, I'll be within my 6 minutes. I'm really not going to talk too much. Some of my academic work, I think I have a paper on the website. And my work is really around, in terms of academic work, is around Afro-sonic modernities. And I do some work with remix culture and hip-hop, etc. I'm a DJ and arts advocate, as it says in the description here. And there's, so I have in the works 3 publications I wanted to share. A manuscript with UFT Press. I think it's mentioned in here, Besides and Other Kinds of Humans, which is on its way. Collected an edition of a collection of essays called Hip Hop North of the 49th Parallel. It's about Canadian hip hop spanning Vancouver to Nova Scotia, which is also on its way. And then the third one, the one I'm most excited for, and I've collaborated with 2 OCAD students on, and was funded to the OAC to do, is a book called T-Dot Pioneers, which was sort of my very first expansive take on in the arts community, and it really just captures 3 exhibits that I put on here in Toronto from 2010 to 2013 that looked at the history of Toronto hip hop culture. So that will be hopefully that will be the first book to come out sometime later this year, and I'll make sure I share it with everyone when it's out. I wanted to sort of spend some time talking a little bit about this project I've been working on for the last 5 years. And it's called NIA Center for the Arts. It's an interesting project that was funded through a new funding pot created by the Premier after a young man was shot in one of the schools here. And the idea came from a really innocent email back in 2008. And the email asked one simple question: why is there no Black Arts Center in Toronto? Right? 200 years, maybe 220 years. You know, we could call this place home. And so we set about making this a possibility, and I worked in the research and development phase, and we're still working on the project. But what we've developed in the last 5 years, and some of the folks in the room have been serious contributors to making this possible, is creating a multidisciplinary 7,000 square foot performance space that would have 250 seats, maybe something like this, that allows for modular community space, so dividers in a room like this. We would have a gallery, which we're working on, 2 studios, like a mixed media, sort of, we call a wet room or a dirty room, and a clean room, so like a visual arts room, a wood cutting room, etc. And this is something that we've been able to wrestle with the City of Toronto to give us a below market space and a 10-year lease in order to make this happen in a really important and underserved area in Toronto, which is the Oakwood and Vaughan area. So over the last 12 years or so, as the city works on its renewal, different kinds of renewal and removal projects, and they determine different areas as priorities, this area, which now houses, or has always really housed, what people call Little Jamaica, which is now Little Jamaica and Little Nigeria and little other littles. But it's really an area that is a ghost town, right? And we've been able to make sure that this piece lands in that community and is there as a piece of infrastructure for the next 10 years. So the organization is NIA Center for the Arts, is a nonprofit Toronto-based organization that supports, showcases, and promotes an appreciation of arts from across the African diaspora. And there's many issues that I would love to get into, that we can get into a little later, but the genesis of this really comes in a really fraught way, right? As a reactionary attempt to deal with some of the issues that is happening to young people in the city of Toronto. So we really started out as a youth arts center, and it's now developing and growing to serve not just the Oakwood and Vaughan community, but emerging mid-career established artists from across the African diaspora, right? We create opportunities for young people to develop healthy identities, for communities to enhance their creative capacities. One of the things we realized when I led the research and development phase in the summer of 2008 is that there are some community arts programs, which is a whole different discussion, where they have 200 young African Canadian kids on their waiting list, right? And so they're well patronaged, but when the young people go to these programs, there's no critical interrogation of identity. There's no discussion around representation, around politics, around some of the real crux of what it means to develop holistically and how to survive in a society like this, right? It's really utilizing time, or their time, to explore art forms, which is great and much needed, but we found that we needed to add a little bit of a holistic piece there. So there's a listing of some of our core programs, and so far we've really just explored any of the art forms that young people have come to us and said that they want to do. And we're looking at in the future, starting to move towards some of the more digital arts. Laser cutting obviously is one of those things. Same with infographics, that's something we're on the cusp of. So a lot of the young people involved and some of the OCAD students that are here are pushing the idea forward. So it's something that hopefully I will make sure that we all stay abreast of over the next 10 years.